Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fitria Ladyre Shanty and my partner Fifit Astriningsih. We are from Group 13 from CCU C class. We will present about cross-cultural adjustment in Switzerland. Cross-cultural adjustment. What is cross-cultural adjustment? Cross-cultural adjustment conceptualized as the degree of psychological comfort with various aspects of a host country. Cross-cultural adjustment can also be said as the process of adaptation to living and working in a foreign culture. Cross-cultural adjustment is the level of psychological comfort and familiarity felt by someone with a new culture. So, cross-cultural adjustment is a phase where a person begins to accept and adapt to a new environment and culture after experiencing culture shock.
Cultural adjustment in Islamic perspective, Surah Al-Hujurat 13. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dzakarin wa unsa waja'alnakum syu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Innallaha alimun khabir. O people, indeed, we created you from male and female. Then we made you into nations and tribes so that you might know one another. Verily, the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah is the one who is most pious. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, all-aware. In Islam, teach that there are several differences such as ethnic, language, and others to get to know each other. When we move to a new environment that is different from our original culture, we need to adapt and get to know the environment now, culture, language, and other aspects of this place, so that there is comfort when living in that place without any other problem.
There are three specific facets of cross-cultural adjustment. First is work adjustment. In this facet, a person begins to adapt to new job tasks, work roles, and new work environments. The second is interaction adjustment. In this facet, a feeling of comfort arises in interacting with the citizens in a new place in both work and non-work situation. This aspect of interaction adjustment is the most difficult aspect of the three facets to achieve. The third is general adjustment. In general adjustment, a person begins to adapt to live in a foreign culture, such as housing conditions, healthcare, and cost of living. In the process of cross-cultural adjustment, a person can experience stress due to the insecurity and ambiguity of not knowing what is appropriate, plus a potential inability to understand the environment due to lack of knowledge of the language or culture of the new place. Although one can experience real anxiety and unhappiness as a result of culture shock, it does provide an opportunity for learning about new perspectives and developing a better understanding of oneself. The positive opportunities that are presented by living and working within an international community include: first, broadening horizons for the whole family, which includes travel, new culture, and new experiences. Second, learning a new language. And the third is establishing a new network of friends and local contacts. Then fourth, a possibly enhanced quality of life. And the last is possible career progression.
Failure to adapt to a new culture can have a variety of causes. The first thing is about presuming that one's country activities would be efficient and reasonable in the new culture. Second, a failure to recognize that one's appearance in other culture could be interpreted as source of conflict. Then, comparing local conditions and customs to one's own values. Then, as an individual's defense mechanism, having adopted a patronizing of preferable attitude. The next is a failure to recognize one's responsibility for local staff development. Then, disregarding one's own mental and physical health and also the health of one's family. The next is believing that if I want something implemented correctly, I should do it myself. Then, frustration on the non-working partner part because he or she will be unable to put a degree in the new country. And last, worries about elderly relatives in the home country. The ideal expatriation should process as follows. The first is adjustment, the second is adaptation, and the third is achievement. There are coping strategies to prepare. We may still be surprised by the event, but being mentally prepared lessens the impact. The first thing, before you leave, make sure you have everything you need. Learn as much as you can about the culture of your destination. The second is, be aware that you will most probably trigger the fourth stage of culture shock. This is normal reaction and doesn't indicate weakness or illness. And third, understand and accept your emotion when you're lonely, unhappy, or homesick, and talk about them with others. Fourth, start with short-term or realistic goals and allow yourself time to adjust. The next is establish a real home as soon as possible with some of your favorite belongings nearby, such as photographs, books, and children's favorite toys, for example. And the next is make an effort to meet new people, both locals and other expatriates. And the next is try and learn using the local language as well as to become familiar with the culture. The next is maintain in touch with friends and family in your home country by sending them emails and videos about your exploration in there. The next is establish local support system with friends and member status in sports and social teams as early as possible. The next is create a journal or blog for yourself, your family, and your friends. Next is, once you have adjusted, you can help others with the cross-culture adjustment process. The next is, overall else, maintain a sense of humor and open mind and sense of privacy. In order to mitigate the effect of culture shock, the company or organization should provide valuable support that includes a warm welcome upon arrival and the provision of the connection to assist you and your family through the first few days and introduce you to local resources. Switzerland. In the small country of Switzerland, there is also a distinction between the culture in the mountain and the culture of the central plateau. This means that the life in the mountain valley is different from that in the big city. Thus, over time, and with the increase in tourism, some local people customs have achieved national fame. Initial meetings in Switzerland are extremely formal. Only after a long-term business relationship is established with colleagues address one another on a first-name basis. Taking the time to get to know your Swiss friends will help ensure that your interactions are effective. Family dynamic. Swiss families can be very diverse, but most are hardworking and thrifty. With only one or two children, most families in Switzerland have pets, a cat or dog, with whom they demonstrate extreme affection. On weekends, people often take trips to visit extended family or friends. Then, mealtimes, particularly dinner, are just time for many Swiss families to get together, share news of the day, and discuss vacation plans, and among other things. As a result, it is critical that everyone arrives on time. In Swiss, most of families housework is shared, and hardly any families have maids. It is not usual that men do the cooking. Men will also do laundry and other housework. There is no difference between boys and girls regarding housework. The Swiss culture also represents the culinary of Switzerland, which surely makes it a real life haven for foodies. One can taste a huge number of national dishes as well as the regional specialties regardless of the canton they are visiting. Food. Regional and local foods are typically based on traditional styles of cooking, which is high in calories and fat and best suited to physical activity than to a lack of exercise, such as pork, dairy products such as butter, creams, and cheese play an important role in diet. Let's Eating habit reveals a growing concern for health food as well as a growing appetite for exotic recipes. Best of all, the Swiss are famous for their creamy and high quality chocolate. The Swiss diet is mostly a mix of French and German cuisines, with a variety of sausage and rich cheeses, as well as several fish and pork dishes. The German influence can be seen in plates of spaghetti, is homemade pasta covered in butter and oil. Then, while French-speaking areas are known to enjoy fondue and raclette, is melted cheese eaten mostly during the winter months, and potatoes are common too, and you can enjoy them boiled, fried, or in dishes such as roasted, grated and pan-fried, and grated, sliced and baked with cream and garlic.
Cost of living in Switzerland. Switzerland is well known for being one of the most expensive countries to reside in Europe and even the world. Competing with areas like Hong Kong and Singapore, expats spend thousands of Swiss francs to stay here each month. There are costs at every turn, from the obvious, like high rent prices in major cities, to the unexpected, like license fees for television and radios, which total hundreds of Swiss francs each year. The average salary here is one of the highest in Europe at 605,000 Swiss francs or 700 US dollar per month, rising to 905,000 Swiss francs or 103,000 US dollar per month for roles in specialized industries such as the pharmaceutical sector. You will need this wage. A single person spends at least 105,000 Swiss francs or 106,000 US dollar per month on living expenses before rent. Rent is high in the bigger cities. Expect to pay around 2,000 Swiss francs or 2,150 US dollar for a one-bedroom apartment in Zurich and Geneva. The standard of education is incredibly high and matches the quality of private school education, with 95% of Swiss residents sending their children to state institutions. While in private schools, the cost is incredibly expensive, with annual tuitions costing upward of 800 US dollar for the top schools. In addition, public university fees are also low, especially when compared to other European countries or the US. The yearly tuition costs average under 200 Swiss francs or 202,000 US dollar. Private universities sometimes charge 10 times the amount of public institutions. Tuition is the same price regardless of your citizenships. International students pay the same as AU or AAA students. Budget for private healthcare in Switzerland requires at least 3,000 Swiss francs or 3,020 US dollar per month. Everyone must be covered, even babies over 3 months old must have insurance. Prices will vary based on the canton you live in and the type of plan you opt for, but the general standard of care you receive is incredibly high across the country. And here are some tips to adapt when we live in a new environment. First is don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. And the second, resisting the urge to withdraw. And the third is find activities to relieve stress. And the fourth is keep in touch with friends and family. And the last is contact campus resources. I think that's all about our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.